All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. May I have attention, please? All quiet, please. Thank you. Have something to write with because I'm going to be handing you out a packet here on the Singing Revolution. Before we do that, I do want you to see the rest of my slide presentation. Have a seat. Okay. All right. From way back when, once upon a time when I was young and I wore jeans all the time and I had hair color that was different than white. Someday when you're old, white. Someday when you're old, white or gray. Someday, yes? Someday. Did you need to make an announcement or? Okay. Someday, yes. Let me share with you the last, isn't it great? This is the opportunity for you guys to see what we looked like when we were younger, when we were so youthful, right? This is from 1985. We're giving you the perspective of when I was a college student heading on to the University of Idaho in 1985. I had been to the Soviet Union as part of a tour, right? And so I was reporting back to you on some of the things that were going on, including the friendship that I had made with Helia's husband, Irma Solander, right? Who was in the Soviet Union, who's trying to have a career as a musician, as a singer, and he doesn't have enough guitar strings because they don't have them on the market. Because the government does not make it a high priority to have consumer goods available to people. Question?
Wait, how do you girl or boy?
Helia right here, she is a female pronoun, she is married to Irmas. And these young ladies, Kati, Eva Kuli, Helia, and Anu, those were the ones that I had met on that tour. Yeah? Yeah, he's working on his guitar strings. What the? Yeah, he smokes cigarettes. And is that, I have no idea if that is Uno. That is like quite an interesting yet extraneous question. But if it serves you, I don't know. I can't give you a definitive answer. Could he have been playing Uno? Yes. Mostly what he was doing, he was working on his guitar strings. See, here's the thing. Any of you guys play guitar? Nobody. So, oh, you do. So how long do guitar strings last?
It depends.
Depends on what?
Depends on what type of music I'm doing. If I'm doing like songs that really take up with the chords and stuff, then they're going to go quicker. But if
Okay, so what would be like if you use the guitar strings a lot, what's the like average lifespan as far as quality sound from those guitar strings? 9 months, there you go. See, so here's the thing. What Irmas was doing, and Helia was describing, is that he would like boil them in order to clean them and make them last longer. So he was very thrilled when I'm like, I can get these things. I can go straight from, I can go to the store and pick out his favorite guitar strings, right? 12-string acoustic guitar. And he could put those on an acoustic guitar. He could stand up, and he will. You'll see this later on as we go forward. He will stand up in front of a large audience singing Estonian liberation songs and playing with the guitar strings from Boise, Idaho. It says, to an American friend, John Hansen, Elender.
is that guy on the far left Ed Sheeran?
No, he's not, Trey. No. And actually, given the amount of time, we will give you an opportunity. He was part of Ruya, which was a band that was started in the 70s, and it ended up going all the way up until the late 80s. And in the late 80s, he left Estonia. Mikhail Gorbachev, who we've covered, would you say Mikhail Gorbachev is like Stalin or not that much like Stalin? Not that much. Mikhail Gorbachev is focusing on improving the country, bringing in some capitalism, bringing in some democracy and so forth. During the time of Mikhail Gorbachev, Irmas had an opportunity to travel to Sweden. And his wife traveled there, Helia, and his daughter from his first marriage traveled there. And they stayed. They defected. The Swedish government was really, really cool then. It's still pretty cool now as far as like refugees and political refugees. And Ermas was a political refugee. Because one of the things he was doing, he was really pushing the edge. He was singing songs in the Estonian language. He was singing songs critical of the Soviet dominance. And he was getting a lot of pushback from the KGB. And so when they traveled there in 1990, they decided to stay. They're like, I don't know how things are going to turn out in the Soviet Union and Estonia. They decided to stay. And it was pretty traumatic. It was a very important decision. Can you imagine going on a trip, and then on the trip you decide to never go back to your own country? That's kind of where it was. But the fascinating thing was, in 1990, my wife and I got married. We went on a honeymoon. I was between jobs. One of the things we did, we stayed with family in different places in Europe and in England, and then we stayed with our friends in Estonia. And there's Eva Cooley, there's my wife Terry, there's Anu, there's Kati, who was a high school student when I met her, and then she got married while in college and had a kid already. And there's Alar. On the way, we went and stayed with them in Sweden. We stayed with Helia and Irmas in an apartment put up by the Swedish government. And we went to go see, this was kind of fun. We went to this is my picture on film. This is a picture I took off the internet. They had this really cool sculpture garden there. And we're chilling out and we're hanging out and so forth. It was a lot of fun. And then because they're creative people, Anu and Helia's mom were like, let's do the statues. And so they start doing that. There's Anu doing the statue. And then we get Helia. Oh, she's like that statue. And here's Irmas. He's like this statue. Pretty cool. It's a lot of fun. You guys would do the same, I'm sure. You'd be climbing all over him and everything. This was kind of fun. Because in my conversation with Irmas, he's like, oh yeah, I composed this, I composed this. I wrote an entire rock opera based on George Orwell's book. Which story? See if you can figure it out. What are the clues here? Can you see what kind of animals these two creatures are? They're big pigs. Have you figured it out? He did a rock opera based on the story Animal Farm, because it deals with the Soviet Union. Yeah. He's like, oh, you could help me out in that process. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just about to start law school in Moscow. I mean, Moscow's a really cool place to be back in the late 80s, wouldn't you say? Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. But, yeah, the last thing in my mind was okay, how am I going to do that? There's my wife doing that one. Oh, and here's Irmas, some bronze guy, and me. I had hair color, not from a bottle. I had hair color, and there I've actually got, you can't quite see it there, I had a t-shirt, a light blue t-shirt with potatoes, little spud characters, right? Because I was proud of Idaho. Hello. Yeah. We were hanging out there. Yoko, named after the wife of his favorite Beatle. Who's his favorite Beatle? You know who his favorite Beatle is. Who's his favorite Beatle? John Lennon, exactly. Because that was y'all are too young. You don't know nothing about no Beatles. Who are the other Beatles? Anybody know the name of one other Beatle besides John Lennon? Thank you very much. Go who? Paul McCartney. Who else? George. And the drummer.
I can name all the crew members.
That's a different band. I didn't ask that question. Good grief. That's nice that you know that. And that's cool, too, because that's way back when, too. Anyway, the other is Ringo Starr. Okay? So, yeah, Yoko was there. She was dressed up in Estonian folk costume. She also was playing like a street beggar and so forth. There, we also went and stayed in Estonia. We got permission. It was so cool because we went back into the Soviet Union in 1990. There was only one more year left before they would be independent. And there we were staying. Kati was helping to find mushrooms and so forth. And there's her mom, who was the professor, who was the one who had arranged for us to get together in the first instance, since we were students of the professor from William and Mary. She's already got a kid. Oh my gosh. And her father, her grandfather, is Kati's grandfather, and he would tell us stories about how the Germans came through and the Soviets came through, and it's like, oh my gosh. He didn't know English. I talked to him in some of the German I knew. And they're building houses, her husband and her husband's father, trying to build her a house. One of the places we went to was the Song Festival grounds. That's where our attention is going to be focused primarily from here on out. There's my wife, there's Alar, there's Kati, there's Eva Cooley. The Song Festival grounds. Because what do Estonians like to do? They like to sing. They like to sing. And in what language do they like to sing? They like to sing in Estonian. Why, yes, they do. And what do they sing about? Do you want a copy? Would you like a copy? It's okay. I think you've caught part of this lesson before. The singing revolution. So this is going to be part of your notes, okay? And of course, one of the places we'll stop in the midst of it is to talk about Irmas playing in front of hundreds of thousands of Estonians during the singing revolution with, look, new guitar strings from the United States of America. 1988. I wanted to actually go and be part of it. And in fact, they were like, you should come over. Among those letters that I had received, they were saying, you should come over, you should come over. I'm like, I'm in law school. And then I finish law school. And then I take the bar exam in order to be an attorney. And then I get a job. I'm not going to be able to go back over there to Estonia until 2005. A lot of things will transpire between that time. Are you ready? Summer. Why? That's good. I want to say like June. Yeah. It's okay. Anybody else born in the summer of 2005? Okay, so y'all were just little babies around that time.
I was already born.
Yeah, it's like 2005. That was a long time. I mean, that's like more than your lifetime from the time that I originally went there. But that just proves that you're way young and I'm not as young. But that's cool. All right, here we go. One of the things that I was so happy was that a movie was made that helped us tell the story of the singing revolution. How the Estonians came together, given the opportunities, given their love of their country, they were actually able to make a difference and bring freedom to their country. Here we go. Unfortunately,